Thanks for joining us today. You're listening to the International Moving Podcast, your guide to moving to another country, brought to you by SDC International Shipping, LA's finest. An international move is exciting. It's a time to start over, establish a new business, maybe reestablish family ties, or retire where your budget will do more for you. Or maybe just the weather is more to your liking. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you have any questions about your international move, please give us a call at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962. Hey everyone, this is Jim for SDC International Shipping. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about moving and shipping household goods to Turkey. Now, Turkey was one of those countries that for a long time, at least to me personally, was one of those countries that was just shrouded in mystery. I heard things about it that were not so good, I guess you would say, relative to just the way that country was in the entire region over there. But believe it or not, over time, I actually met people living in Turkey through Facebook. And what I learned is no matter where you are in the world, the people are people. And they get up in the morning, they go to work, they put in their day, whatever it is they're doing. If they're remote workers, they sit down, they open their laptop or turn on their computer and they go to work. If they're kind of retired or semi-retired, they go out, they enjoy beaches, they enjoy big cities, they enjoy a lot of things. And so over time, I've come to look at the rest of the world kind of just like that. So when it comes to moving and shipping to Turkey, you may be wondering, how many Americans are actually over there? Well, according to the recent statistics, it said there were approximately 30,000 plus Americans today living in Turkey, which speaks to the appeal of this country. It's a multicultural type of country, total population of over 85 million people. And there are several factors that are appealing to people which inspires them to make the move. Number one is the cost of living. Now, this is a big thing no matter what country we're talking about. A lot of Americans are becoming expats and they're choosing to retire in other countries. Whereas we have younger people who are looking to experience what it's like to perhaps live several years in another country, see what it's like for themselves, and basically have an adventure that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. I know that when you're in your early 20s, you probably don't own a home yet, and a lot of people in foreign countries, especially Europe, the Middle East, and other places like that, people travel from country to country, and they stay in hostels or they rent places, and they work remotely. They work for companies, and all they need is a laptop and a backpack, and they're on their way. But regardless of where you fit on the scale, let's take a look at Turkey. Turkey offers a relatively affordable cost of living. They have lower prices on things like housing, food, and transportation. If you compare those prices, let's say, to the United States, so if you sold a home here or if you're working at a company from here and you're going to move overseas or move to Turkey, then you're getting paid that kind of wage, but it's going a lot further because you're not living here in the United States in possibly a very costly area. If you live in any city in the United States, it's not cheap as far as cheap goes. If you're living in a rural area, of course, yeah, it could be much cheaper. But overall, the cost of living in the United States is not exactly cheap by any standard. But getting back to Turkey, they have a diverse culture and lifestyle there, and a very diverse population, and a lot of Americans who move there are attracted to the country's history, incredible architecture, great cuisine, and they have a much more relaxed, much more laid-back lifestyle compared to, let's say, city living here in the United States. Turkey's economy has been growing rapidly over the past several years. There's a lot of job opportunities available there in industries such as tourism, education, and technology. So that's why many American expats who are in Turkey, they work remotely, and some of them work for companies based in Turkey and some for companies in the United States as well as other countries. But they do take advantage of the income and pairing that with the lower cost of living. The climate there, Turkey has a Mediterranean climate with long hot summers, mild winters, and that's also a major draw for many Americans who are looking to escape some of the harsh winters they may experience here in the United States, depending on where they're living. Then we look at things like political and social stability. Turkey is considered to be a stable country with a strong democracy and a relatively low crime rate compared with other countries in that region. And this stability has attracted many Americans looking for a safe and secure place to live, very high up on the must-have scale. So overall, the combination of lower cost of living, a rich cultural experience, job opportunities, favorable climate, political and social stability have made Turkey an attractive destination for Americans looking to move abroad. What are the top cities in Turkey for expats? Well, there are several cities in Turkey that are very popular among expats. So let's take a look at them. First is Istanbul. Istanbul is the largest city in Turkey, and it's a major cultural and economic hub. It's a popular destination for expats due to its rich history. It has a vibrant culture and a very diverse community. Many expats in Istanbul work in industries such as finance, education, and technology. The next is Ankara. Ankara is the capital city of Turkey and home to many of the government institutions, diplomatic missions, and international organizations. It's a popular destination for expats who work in government or government-related industries. Antalya next. Antalya is a popular tourist destination on the Mediterranean coast of Turkey. It's known for its beaches, historical sites, and very mild climate. Many expats in Antalya work in the tourist industry or in businesses that cater to tourists. Izmir is also a coastal city on the Aegean Sea, and it's a major commercial center in Turkey. It's home to several very large universities and research institutions, and it's also a very thriving arts and cultural scene and center there. Many expats who are in Izmir work in academia, technology, or in one of the arts. And finally, Bursa. Bursa is a city located in the northwest section of Turkey, close to Istanbul, and it's known for historical sites, natural beauty, and the textile industry. Many expats in Bursa work in the textile industry or in textile-related businesses. These are just a few examples of the most popular cities in Turkey for expats, but there are many other cities and towns throughout the country that are also popular among expats, depending on their individual needs and their personal preferences. Now, when it comes to the actual move, you absolutely positively want to hire a top-tier door-to-door international moving company. And even if I wasn't with STC International Shipping, this advice would not change. You want to make sure that whoever it is that's handling your belongings, your valuable items, household goods, has the expertise and experience to make the entire process a smooth one. The company that you work with should be experienced and be able to navigate all of the elements that come along with completing a trouble-free shipment from the United States to Turkey. Failure to work with a company that's truly knowledgeable and experienced can result in a very negative outcome. Now, SDC has been moving household goods and personal effects to Turkey for our clients for over 20 years. The difference is we do have a dedicated support team working with you from the very beginning all the way through to the very end. And that way we can make sure that all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, and that you have one person that you're in communication with who understands exactly the ins and outs of what we're moving for you, what your specific needs are. I'm talking about everything from A to Z. A person that will stay in communication and advise you on things like paperwork and documents, things that we need to make sure we clear customs for you. Nothing is done at the last minute. So that way when you enter the port of entry in Turkey, then everything can be smoothly delivered to your new residence or wherever the delivery location happens to be. You want to make sure that whatever company that you're working with has at least a 4+ star rating, good online reviews, and make sure that these are legitimate reviews. You can usually tell if you do a little bit of digging. And matter of fact, the more digging that you do, with international moving companies, you'll begin to figure out which company is a broker and really not. And there's some big names that are legitimate companies, and there's also some big names that are also nothing but brokers. So if you do a little bit of digging into the reviews, you'll be able to separate one from the other. Visual surveys and questions and answer meetings. That's the starting point where you begin to connect with real people. You meet your shipper. Think about this. If you were going to give a quote to somebody, if you were the mover, wouldn't you want to actually have eyes on the actual items that are being moved? Wouldn't you want to have a question and answer type of meeting so that you could get the specifics of that move? Because every move is different. So this can be done virtually, it can be done in person, but the visual survey that's conducted by an experienced shipper or an estimator, that's necessary. And so anybody that avoids this and just basically asks for how many rooms and basically what you have and throws a price out there, is actually doing you a disservice. So make sure that a visual survey takes place. Make sure that you can ask questions and get direct answers. These are just some of the signs that you're working with a reputable, experienced, knowledgeable moving company, international moving company. Now, one of the things, of course, to watch out for is the lack of a professional, comprehensive quote. That's another red flag. SDC International Shipping will provide a comprehensive professional quote for your shipment to Turkey, and this will spell out precisely what service is being quoted, example, door-to-door or door-to-port or port-to-port. Further, all of the elements which are included as well as things which aren't included, everything's clearly stated. So you want to be very cautious if you're working with a company and they're not providing this kind of proposal. Now, the actual process of shipping to Turkey, this is how we approach it. SDC International will take the time to, number one, understand all of your needs and make sure there's no element of surprise. We know exactly what's going, what's not going, and how it needs to be delivered there. And then from there, the process, depending on the desired level of service that you would like. For example, maybe you want door to door. Maybe you want everything packed and unpacked and put away in its proper place when you get there. Maybe you just want door to port and you're going to pick up the things there, and some stuff is going to go into storage and some will go into another location. Maybe you want port to door or air freight, or part of it's done by shipping. All of this can be handled by SDC. Everything is worked out again, so there's no surprises. So we can look at your point of origin all the way to your desired destination and any specific requirements that you may have as you go through that process. When you think about a complete household move, and let's say you're using ocean shipping and from door to door, and you want to include everything, you want everything professionally packed and wrapped, you want all of your household goods protected, the first thing that's going to happen is a visual survey. I like to talk about this in just about every podcast episode, because this is where you actually get to know the mover, where the mover gets to know the client, where the inventory is not going to be a surprise. Everything is there to see. And this is where the question and answers begin. And this is where, sometimes I have to admit a visual survey is not possible. In that case, sometimes what's needed are photographs. And when we can't get there physically, or you're not in a position to do that, another way it can be done is online using a tablet. It could act as a camera, and so you could show visibly what items you have and how many items are in the room, and specific things that maybe you have an antique lamp and you're worried about a specific part of it breaking during the move. This is when all of this happens, during a visual survey. And again, if the visual survey can't take place, photos are another way to go about it. But the visual survey is usually fairly easy to accomplish. And then after everything is complete and analyzed, then SDC International Shipping, or any shipping company, should be able to provide you with a professional quotation that explains everything very clearly. All of the elements of the move are included in that, as well as which ones aren't. From there, you can decide that maybe you want to insure certain items. Maybe you don't want to insure everything, maybe just a few items, or maybe you want to have complete coverage. There's something called total loss, and if you're, let's say, shipping your entire household items and you want to insure for total loss, what total loss means is if the ship sinks and everything is lost, you're covered. But that type of insurance doesn't cover, let's say, if a lamp is broken or some dishes are cracked. If you have, let's say, expensive type of, just off the top of my head, some type of a porcelain, and you want to make sure, let's say it's very valuable or family heirloom or something like that, maybe you want a specific kind of insurance just for that box, just for the items in that box, but you don't want to pay to have every single last thing insured. So there's different ways to do it. There's different options. There's usually something for everyone. It's according to what your budget is. Things like packing, wrapping, and protecting, everything can be provided for you. The boxes, the material, all of that. It can all be done for you. If you rather wrap certain things or do it yourself, you can do that. Or if you want to have certain items crated because that's not your area of packing, that's fine too. That's usually the way it's done. For example, if you have a big mirror that needs to be crated or artwork or something like that that's expensive, it's oftentimes better leaving that to the pros, and that way you know that it's done correctly. Now, when it comes to the actual shipping process, your entire household inventory will be shipped. Now, of course, some people do partial by air and partial by sea. Most goes by sea because it's more cost effective that way. Of course, if you have a pet, cat or a dog, and there's details, of course, that go along with that too. I'm not going to go into them in this podcast episode, but just in general, of course, they have to have all their shots and vaccinations and proof of all of the above. Now, when it comes to customs, this is where having a company like SDC International Shipping there for you, this is where it makes quite a big deal, because we can have everything in place so that you can clear customs, your port of entry, and all of the necessary paperwork, it's all done for you. And this way everything goes smoothly. Rather than, sometimes people want to do it themselves and they don't have the experience and they miss something or they reword something or they don't label something correctly, and the next thing you know, all these boxes are put to the side and maybe they don't get to them for a few more hours or till the next day. I mean, all kinds of things can cause a bottleneck if things in customs are not done properly. And then, of course, you have, after customs, you have the final delivery. So what type of things can't you ship from the U.S. to Turkey as far as your household goods go? Well, number one are weapons and ammunition. They're not allowed into Turkey. There are proper permits and licenses that you can obtain, and that's another topic altogether. Any narcotics and drugs, cocaine, marijuana, heroin, strictly prohibited in Turkey like most places. Pornography, any types of pornography, including magazines, DVDs, online content, are all illegal in Turkey and not allowed to be imported into the country. Counterfeit goods, hazardous material, plants and soil, foods and liquids, none of that. There is a customs guide for Turkey online. You can check that out. Just type in customs guide for Turkey and you'll find that website. Let's see. What else can we talk about here? I think that's about it. One thing I want to add, when it comes to shipping household goods to destinations outside of North America, ocean freight is going to be the go-to option for many people, because while it may take longer, the cost savings of ocean shipping are often well worth it. At SDC International Shipping, we're experts in both air and ocean shipping, and in many cases we'll even utilize a combination of both to ensure that your shipment arrives quickly and as cost effectively as possible. So whether you're moving overseas or you simply need to ship some items abroad, we have you covered. Just trust us to navigate the complexities of international shipping and get your household goods to their destination safely and on time. Now, can you ship your car to Turkey? Yes, it's possible to bring your car with you if you're moving to Turkey from the U.S. There are certain regulations and requirements that you'll need to follow in order to import your car into the country. Also, there might be duties and taxes that'll be applied in Turkey. You can just consult with your shipping relocation specialist here with us if you have questions about that. The driver's side standard in Turkey is left-hand drive, the same as we have here in the United States. If you have a motorcycle, same thing applies to that. It is important to note that whether you have a car or a motorcycle, Turkey does have very strict emission standards. So some types of motorcycles may not be allowed to be imported into the country if they don't meet those standards. So Turkey has its own road regulations, and that's something that you may have to take into consideration. Pet relocations, as I said earlier, the pets, of course, you want them to be there as quickly as possible, so they'll go via air. And insurances and healthcare. I guess I should touch a little bit on healthcare. If you're an expat living in Turkey, you can get healthcare insurance. There's a lot of options available there. There's an international health plan that's designed to cover expats, and these plans typically provide coverage for medical treatment, hospitalization, and emergency medical evacuation. So if you want to purchase insurance in Turkey, you can contact local insurance providers or international insurance companies that offer coverage in Turkey. This is something you want to do well up front. This is not something you want to wait for the last minute for. So now some of the insurance plans there will require for you to undergo a medical exam, as well as providing a medical history before they'll apply any kind of coverage. So again, this is something you don't want to do at the last minute. And like most places, the cost of healthcare insurance in Turkey can vary depending on things like age, health status, and how much coverage you require. So absolutely, making a move to a country like Turkey can be a relatively smooth process from start to finish, as long as you do your research and you learn what I's need to be dotted and what T's need to be crossed. You can always visit on vacation, go to a few different areas, see what it's like from firsthand experience, and then when you have everything in order and you're ready to make the move happen, you reach out to an experienced company like SDC International Shipping, and you take the next step. All right, I think that's about all for today. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for listening. Whether you're relocating within the country or moving to the other side of the world, we're here to help from start to finish. Connect with us today at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962.